Parliament's Powers and Privileges Committee has given National Assembly Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula 1 week to provide a written explanation for increasing the salary of Secretary Xolile George. This comes after it emerged last year that George is earning almost 70% more than the 2.6 million rand salary Parliament earmarked for the job when it was advertised, or when it advertised the vacancy. The DA has written a complaint accusing Mapisa-Nqakula of violating the Code of Conduct and Ethics. For more on this, we now speak to the DA Chief Whip, Siviwe Gwarube. Siviwe, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. So last year there was a statement that was issued by Parliament where they said that they had actually contracted a firm to look into benchmarking the salary of the Secretary based on what's happening at an international scale. Did you, as the opposition party, ever have sight of that report?
Good morning, Aldrin, and good morning to your viewers. No, we did not. The difficulty with the Parliament's version of events, and most certainly the Speaker, is that all of these seemingly either headhunting, now there's a contention by the Speaker that there was a headhunting process, there was a company that was contracted to review the salary. All of these things were done after the fact and after the Speaker came to Parliament and said this is what the Secretary to Parliament would be earning in accordance to the advertisement which was put out, which said it would be a total amount of 2.6 million rand. And afterwards, then that salary was hiked to more than 70% in less than a year. And none of this was ever shared with the members of Parliament. Yet, we adopted the motion as the House to appoint the Secretary on the basis that he would be paid this much money. And in fact, if one goes back to that sitting, when this matter was decided on, Aldrin, every single opposition party stood up and said, we may be supporting this, but it is on the basis that we will stick to what was advertised, because we were of the view that 2.6 million rand is what should a Secretary to Parliament be earning. And if then the presiding officers were saying this is not within what market related salaries would cost, then this should have been either presented to the House or they should have come back to members of Parliament to present such a case.
Yeah, and again, in that statement that was issued last year, the spokesperson for Parliament, Muloto Mutapo, says in that statement that looking at the process that was followed, it says it is not practical for the presiding officers to consult parties on the day-to-day oversight over the accounting officer, and this again is in relation to the remuneration package. Your take on that?
Well, that's simply not true, I'm afraid, because Parliament doesn't get to make decisions about the public's money, in secret, on the basis that it's day-to-day running. I'm sorry, Aldrin, but a hike of over 70% of somebody's salary is not just chump change. It's not petty cash in the office. It's not 20 rand to buy the cookies for the office. It is a huge amount of money, and Parliament and the presiding officers are accountable to members of Parliament through the Joint Standing Committee of Financial Management. The committee exists for a reason, because all finances of Parliament must serve before that committee so that we can interrogate as members of Parliament these monies that are spent, where it is spent, and how it is spent. So I'm sorry, it doesn't fly to simply say the presiding officers can't necessarily run these things past members of Parliament. This is a huge amount of money, especially considering the fact that Parliament's building is burnt down. We have a huge task of rebuilding the institution at a cost of 2 billion rand. In a climate like that, and in a climate of great financial difficulty in the country, it was incumbent on the Speaker and the Chairperson to come and present now the updated facts, and so that members of Parliament can make their views known, can vote on that, and so that we can all be, essentially, our contention here is that the Speaker and the Chairperson presented an alternative facts to the House to get this motion passed. And if that is not the case, then she should account to the Powers and Privileges Committee.
Was there already a suspicion when Xolile George was shortlisted as one of the candidates to take over the position, considering that at the time, as the CEO of the South African Local Government Association, he was already earning nearly twice what was being offered to him to become Parliament Secretary?
And that is why, Aldrin, all members of Parliament, opposition parties, all said that we can accept this, except if we're not going to hear of creep-ups of a salary. And literally, that's exactly what happened. Because we were of the view that it's fine if in fact, we were told at the time that the Secretary is doing this because of country duty, and that him taking a 50% salary cut was what he wanted to do because he wanted to serve in the institution, which is all well and good. But then you don't get to do that. It doesn't get to be country duty in 1 minute, and then 2 months later, it no longer is country duty because now the salary is no longer suited. That is why we are saying all of these facts put together suggest to us that somewhere, somehow, members of Parliament and Parliament has been misled, and that's why we approached the Powers and Privileges Committee to get the Speaker to account. What has happened? Why was the salary hiked? Why that much? And also, why were we not appraised?
What recourse are you seeking out of this?
Well, I mean, Aldrin, misleading Parliament is a very serious offence, and if a presiding officer, the Speaker, who's essentially the head of the institution, is found to have misled Parliament, then there are sanctions that are available. And the Powers and Privileges Committee must exercise those. You'll remember when FF members stormed the stage last year at SONA, the Powers and Privileges Committee really came down on them hard. They were docked salaries, they were banned from Parliament for a certain period of time. And so this committee has the powers and the teeth to essentially effect a punishment where it is deemed necessary. And so it mustn't just do that on the one end and not do that for the head of the institution. And so we look forward to the investigation. Yeah. We look forward to the Speaker presenting her version of events on Monday the 4th, and we look forward to the committee taking this matter up.
Okay. Siviwe, just quickly on election-related news. Some political parties that have written now to the Electoral Commission protesting the timetable that has been adopted. From the Democratic Alliance's side, are you satisfied with the timetable that has been published?
Look, we've obviously seen the court judgment that was handed down yesterday, and of course, I mean the political parties that have raised these things have raised issues around the signatures that they need to collect. We are concerned that obviously we don't want to derail the process that the IEC is embarking on, because we are concerned that if we start opening the door in terms of postponing or delaying elections, we may be essentially, opening a Pandora's box. And so we will wait to see what the political parties who are affected by these signatures do and say, and how the IEC responds. But as you know, we are represented in the IEC task team, and so we were presented the timetable, and barring any other issues, we were comfortable with the timetable as it stands.
Thank you so much for your time. Siviwe Gwarube is the Chief Whip of the Democratic Alliance.